Guys, we've got some exciting news here today, hot off the press from our friends at IoT Creators. Firstly, if you're not sure who IoT Creators are, well, let me tell you, they're an extremely talented international team brought together by Deutsche Telekom IoT, who are on a mission to make mobile IoT deployment accessible for all. They're exhibiting today at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, where they've announced they'll be giving away over 1,000 dev kits. This is big news and a real game changer for upskilling the next generation of tech talent to make IoT development more accessible for all. This is something I'm very keen on as an individual in bringing IoT to developers who may not have been in the industry, or for young tech talent to understand and get involved in the industry. If you're a developer interested in delving deeper into the world of connected devices, or maybe you've got no experience and you're keen to learn, whatever the reason is, head over to iotcreators.com today to secure your dev kit. Thank you. Welcome back to the IoT podcast. As always, I'm your host, Tom White. Today we're joined by Matthew Newman, Director of Product Management, and Anil Barot, Senior Director of Product Management at Technicolor. Technicolor is a worldwide creative technology leader in the media and entertainment sector at the forefront of digital innovation. With decades of experience in the connectivity space, Technicolor offers a complete IoT edge solution that brings access to services in order to support complex IoT use cases in a cohesive manner. This allows a faster go-market strategy and cost-effective solutions for their clients. Looking forward to this show today. Before we get into it, guys, please like, comment, and subscribe to this video. You'll get notified every time that there's a new episode. And as usual, I don't care how you're connected, just as long as you're connected. Welcome to the IoT podcast show. Matt, Anil, thank you very much for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here, Tom. Thank you.
Yes, likewise. Absolute pleasure and very excited to be here.
Absolutely. Certainly from my side, excited to have Technicolor on and, ready to get into it. By means of kicking off then, could you start by explaining your backgrounds, guys, and what your background is in IoT and leading up to your positions at Technicolor? And also just a brief overview for those who don't know what Technicolor is. Who'd like to start?
Neil, you want to go first with an intro?
Sure. So a little bit about myself. My name is Anil Barot. I've been in the industry for over 20 plus years, looking at broadband connectivity, been in the wireless industry in various leadership roles, and very excited to be a part of the Technicolor team and leading the IoT initiative. And happy to be here this morning.
Great. And Tom, I'm Matt Newman, based out of Atlanta, Georgia. I've also been in the industry for roughly 20 years or so. Came to Technicolor through their acquisition of the Cisco Connected Devices business unit. Been with Technicolor for about 6 years since then. And you asked, what does Technicolor do? It's interesting. When most people hear the word Technicolor, they think of the motion picture industry. We're a 100-plus-year-old company headquartered in Paris, France, and we are absolutely still involved in working with studios and whatnot. But actually, the part of the business Anil and I are in is actually roughly half the company in terms of revenues, and that is the design, manufacture, and sale of video and broadband hardware and software platforms. And so specifically, Anil and I are focused on taking our wide variety of broadband products and adding IoT capabilities so that they're both act as Wi-Fi routers and access points, but also know how to talk to various IoT devices in the ecosystem. And so we really feel like we've got a robust, secure, highly interoperable platform to address a variety of IoT vertical markets and use cases.
Excellent. Guys, thank you so much for the intro. I always remember Technicolor from the old James Bond films, right? Used to watch the credits.
Yeah.
Used to watch the credits until the end, and Technicolor used to scroll up. And, as a kid, I was always inquisitive, and I'd be like, what is this Technicolor, right?
Right.
So, fondly remember the business since before I was even in the industry.
Yes.
And for our listeners and viewers, if you're watching on YouTube, so our sister podcast, the RDK podcast, actually spoke with... I think it was Ashwani, Matt, wasn't it? We were talking offline.
Yes.
And that's on the video side. Today, we're going to be talking more around IoT, the gateways, the routers, et cetera, So interested to hear that perspective of the business, because I think for those that know Technicolor, know it as, as you said, being in the motion picture industry, et cetera, and that sort of proud heritage, right, as a business. So first and foremost, there's many verticals in IoT, right? I mean, it's almost limitless in a way. Connected living, autonomous driving, potentially flying cars as well, as we were saying offline. Asset tracking, vertical farming, agritech. What verticals and priorities are Technicolor focused on, and why are you focused on those areas?
So Tom, there's definitely a tremendous amount of excitement, optimism at Technicolor. We've done some phenomenal things across the entire company. It always starts with leadership and the ability to execute and deliver world-class products. And we've been able to do that, and we've had a great pedigree of delivering world-class, high-quality products in the consumer space. And what we've done over the last, I would say, 12 to 18 months, we've actually looked at the industry and identified really 8 different verticals, 8 to 11 different verticals. And that covers smart spaces, cold storage, multi-dwelling units, campus warehouses, quick serve restaurants. So, we've done a lot of work to understand the market and understand how our products and our services and our solutions can fit into that. And really, what we're looking to do is play into our strengths. And our strengths is really about connectivity. We can provide connectivity in the home, connectivity to our consumers. It's really leveraging that platform, leveraging that solution out into the, I would say, light industrial enterprise space with really key technology that we have to offer, along with products that are going to be able to hit the sweet spot. We've got a few things called Wi-Fi mesh, BLE mesh, and we're able to connect large areas in a very cost efficient manner, but also consistent manner by providing value to the end user.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you so much. I mean, that's a great answer. And so you mentioned 11 particular areas that you've sort of sought out in terms of growth. What is the Technicolor solution? Can you describe a little bit of around that, and how does this solution address, some of the relevant use cases and verticals that you're targeting? I don't know who wants to answer that, but you guys go for it.
So I think the solution comprises of, we've done very well with regards to what I call the gateway, being able to offer gateway, Wi-Fi mesh extenders, IoT controllers. We've really understand wireless. Our pedigree and our real heritage comes from understanding wireless, understanding hardware, software, but whether it be BLE, Zigbee, Z-Wave, LoRa, LTE, we provide a lot of connectivity options as we bundle gateways and devices as they come together. And we partner with cloud providers, world-class cloud providers, and provide an application suite to provide a complete end-to-end solution. So if you think about it, start at the edge, work from gateways, sensors, gateways, and all the way up to the cloud, and being able to provide applications, but also be able to put the whole solution together to provide an end-to-end solution.
Yeah, Tom, I would just add, I think, Neil's touched on the whole partnering paradigm that we're following. And I think that's important to understand from Technicolor strategy is that, we feel that we've got the edge solution problem solved. But we can't do it all, right? So that's where our cloud partners, IoT device manufacturers, and application development partners come into play to get that whole end-to-end solution.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people are talking about the edge, and we've had a few people come on talking about that EdgeX and other businesses here in Europe. Um, certainly interesting, and I think, as you mentioned, Technicolor's background in wireless, different communication protocols serves very nicely to the markets that you want to be covering and that you want to be exploring in greater depth, right? Um, something I'm curious about is the types of trends that you can see emerging. So when you ask this question to 10 different people, you get 10 different answers, usually.
Yes.
But it's interesting to know it from Technicolor's point of view.
Yeah, I guess I'll take that first, then Anil can add on. But I think one of the big trends that we're seeing is, and it's important for the entire IoT industry, is greater acceptance and a recognition of value. So in the case of businesses, I think more and more businesses are seeing the return on investment that they get from addressing various use cases via IoT solutions. And then on the consumer side, I think even consumers are recognizing the value add that IoT solutions can bring into their lives in a variety of ways. So, and I think as that acceptance grows, it results in greater innovation. So you're seeing a lot more solutions that are very innovative, addressing problems that were not being addressed before in the marketplace. And through innovation, you see additional, I think, companies coming into the space to provide those solutions. And I think that's why Technicolor decided to get into this, is because IoT is a very exciting, rapidly growing, part of the ecosystem that I think we can address with our products and services. So, I would say, as far as some specific examples, it all comes around to in the business side, real time decision making, digitalization, really taking analog, antiquated processes, applying technology, especially around IoT, in order to get, again, faster decision making, better decision making, and that ultimately results in cost savings and increased revenues. So I think
Mm.
again that all gets back to that return on investment.
Yeah, so just to add a few things, truly two things to add what Matt said. I think there's, really a trend in the marketplace in the industry. If we look at today around energy consumption, conservation, and being green, and I think there's always that cost benefit trade off, being able to make smart, educated, informed decisions on a real time basis. And I think it's just the whole world is going down there, whether it be smart lighting, to smart manufacturing, to water usage, energy consumption, and IoT will really help propel that to a whole new level. When you look at the dynamics in the industry and where we're at, I think we've done a great job as an industry in terms of energy conservation, but IoT will help enable that to a whole new level into the next generation.
Yeah, yeah. And thank you guys. I think it's almost easy to forget just how many use cases there are
Yes.
that IoT can benefit from, and really wholesome ones as well, right? Sustainability wise, we had a company on here, Dryad, that creates German IoT business that creates sensors for early wildfire detection, right? In places like Australia and other areas where countries are plagued by this, water, air quality monitoring. Ever since the pandemic, people have started to look at this more and more and more, and I think it's really really important and great as a business that you're going into those areas, and one would say be inspired by some of the good work that is possible from IoT. Coming back to the energy as well, so energy harvesting is a big concept, very interesting. We've had Simon from Noe on the business on the show. Sorry, Dutch-based business that was born out of the university to talk around the energy harvesting in consumer devices as well, right? So I think you guys obviously know and probably quite privy to this, given Technicolor's background. In a year or two's time, a remote control for your set-top box or whatever isn't going to have a replaceable battery on it,
Right.
and that's great. And I think that opens up a whole new catalog, doesn't it, of sensors that you can place that you don't need to replace the battery every 5 years or
Right.
whatever. I mean, I'm talking a little bit about the future here. I mean, do you share that vision in terms of where we can go with this? Does energy harvesting play a big part in the future of IoT and what could be possible?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that many of the companies we've been talking to are really focused on that. There's a variety of use cases, everything from managing lighting in a commercial setting, energy consumption, heating and cooling, HVAC. Um, Proactive maintenance is another way. A device that's not operating at full efficiency is a device that's wasting energy, essentially, right?
Mm.
So if you can proactively anticipate failures and know when a piece of equipment isn't operating at its optimal levels, then and take that step, to fix whatever's wrong before it becomes a catastrophic failure. These are all use cases, and there's many more where I think businesses can again get a return on their investment in IoT, because again, if you're saving energy, not only are you helping the planet, and as Anil said, there are a lot of green initiatives out there, but also, let's face it, it's the bottom line as well. It's saving a lot of cost across the business as a whole. So
I would kind of just reiterate what Matt said. It was, I think over the 12 to 18 months with the pandemic, there's been a lot of self introspection, kind of looking at how we're spending our days, how we're spending our time, where are we using our energy. And I think a lot of companies have come to the conclusion that, can we do things differently? Why can't we do things a little differently? Or is there a different way to do a cost benefit trade off? And I think that real time decision making, just take a look at smart locks. Being able to open up your front door, or to a lock right when you enter into the driveway. Take that to a whole new level when it comes to smart spaces. When you look at light industrial type applications, there's just a vast amount of opportunities that you can reduce uh, cost, you can improve cycle time, but also the bigger piece that I think we're on the cusp of is what we call human resources, being able to have the right people do the right job in the right location, and being able to offer this technology to make their lives much easier.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's entirely true, and it's an exciting time. Somewhat daunting as well, right? I think there's aspects of it you think it's crazy the speed of this, and certainly initiatives along Industry 4.0, and this leads on quite nicely to my next question: Web3 and the metaverse and everything that's happening there. I mean, the metaverse, it just seems to have like smacked us in the face, right, over the last sort of 18 months. Facebook changing the name, and
yeah,
the kids on Roblox constantly, and it's really interesting, and I think that's where for me, like, the daunting aspect comes from. um what is your view on this? How would a metaverse shape IoT, and what's Technicolor's involvement going to be in this?
So, Tom, the way we kind of look at this is IoT is about providing connectivity, and it's connectivity to the internet. And metaverse is something that's been kind of sprung up. We here at Technicolor have been working with the internet for years, and we've been able to provide broadband connections to millions of customers via hundreds and thousands of gateways that we manufacture and implement into the marketplace on a daily basis. But it's really taking that data and engaging with it in a very seamless fashion, and being able to coordinate that through various AI platforms, machine learning platforms, and then making smart, intelligent decisions from that. So I think if you look at it kind of like a wedding cake, Technicolor is very well positioned from a connectivity and coverage perspective. And we've got that, rock solid. We understand how to do that. That's part of our DNA. But as we go up the stack and we go up the wedding cake, it's taking that data and making decisions off of that as we seamlessly coordinate information that's coming along different pipes, different sensors, different gateways, and really being able to take advantage of that data, and then having the end user take action on that data on a real time basis. So it's just really an extension of what we're doing today, but actually more coordinated and really captured in a concise manner.
Yeah, yeah, fantastic answer, Anil. Interesting as well, because obviously, just to summarize on that, then, so primarily IoT and sensors around capturing the use and manipulation and understanding of data, and effectively you're doing that, but in this virtual world, right? It's an extension of kind of what's already happening. Um, do you foresee? I mean, obviously, Technicolor is really well placed, but do you foresee a much larger involvement then in the metaverse as a business? Do you believe this is going to play part of one of the 11 verticals that you mentioned earlier? Do you think this is going to take market share from some of those 11 verticals?
So, it's a dynamic and a very competitive world out there. And, Technicolor is a very dynamic and, competitive company. And we've been able to offer solutions through various products and various innovative ways. We feel that we're going to be in a very, very competitive position to serve our customers and serve future customers in a very cost effective manner. There's always going to be competition. There's different ways to look at things and package things. But I think that the competition, there is going to be new competitors coming into the marketplace, but we're, very prepared and enabled to, be strategically positioned to be, one step ahead of the game.
Yeah, yeah, Tom, I would just add, it's interesting. The metaverse might be one of the areas that kind of bleeds across the multiple businesses that Technicolor is really in, which typically there's not a lot of overlap. But getting back to, we talked about how we started out in the motion picture industry. We're also into gaming. We have a part of the company focused on gaming, which again is big when it comes to the metaverse. And of course, we have the technology side of the house that Anil and I are on. So if you think about motion pictures, gaming, IoT, the metaverse, I think, will kind of bleed over across all of those different parts of our business. And I think it's exciting because it might be one of those rare cases where we can leverage different core competencies across these different business units, yeah, and bring it to bear to the market in a variety of different ways.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree, and I think knowing what Technicolor does, and as I said to you offline, I have quite a good understanding of the various business units within the
Mm-hmm.
organization. I 100% agree. Right, there's loads of different factors involved that that bleed across, right, as you said,
Mm-hmm.
and very interesting as well. You've only got to look at some of the recent acquisitions, haven't you? Microsoft and Ubisoft. The unit, everything that's going on with Unity technologies right now, and I think the graphics and gaming as such in the metaverse is going to take a massive part. So it'll be interesting to know what's going to happen in the future. But the one thing from a personal point of view, I just hope that as an industry collectively together, we don't forget humankind within the technology race.
Yes.
In the sense of, are we doing the right thing by each other with this, and are we thinking about the adverse effects of some of this? But hey, that's a fairly philosophical
Yeah,
question.
exactly. With COVID and everything, the last 2 years, many of us have spent 2 years virtually or actually physically in our homes. I agree with you. There's a risk there, right? That you end up with a world where everybody's kind of isolated from one another and in this sort of
Yeah,
virtual existence. And I think as
yeah,
people, we
yeah,
need, actual contact and interaction with one
yeah.
another.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think balance is the right word to describe it. This is a train that isn't stopping, and it's exciting and done in the right way. It's going to be phenomenal and great for people. And certainly, you made a really good point there. People have been stuck inside lockdowns. But there's certain people who perhaps can't go outside for disability reasons or what have you. So the metaverse for them would be
Yeah.
fantastic. Um, but let's make sure we're not in this Ready Player One kind of world when it's all kind of make believe and we're just kind of sat at home,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I'm sure we can put some ratchets in place to ensure that people do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Great movie, but yeah, I agree. I'm not sure I'd want to live in the Ready Player One
Yeah,
world.
yeah. Absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So moving forward, then, what can we expect to see from Technicolor? Certainly for the rest of this year, and a 3-year strategy as such. And Neil, maybe you can kick off and answer that.
So we've got tremendous amount of products in the pipeline, and we've got great things that are on the horizon. And one of the things I want to just go back, Tom, to a prior question is, we've done a lot of work in the security, looking at our products that are highly secure products, because we work with video content, and as Matt mentioned, we've done Android TV, we've done gaming, So we understand the security element and that security layer that has to be wrapped around our complete solution. So when we work with our future products and rolling that out, what we're looking to do is really leverage on the experiences, the knowledge, the expertise that we built across the company, not only in the broadband side but across the entire company, in going after verticals, going after specific use cases that can add value. As our management has kind of mentioned to us on several occasions, think out of the box, be innovative, challenge the status quo. And that's one of the things that, builds so much excitement for especially me. And I know working with Matt and the rest of the team, there's a lot of, real dynamic energy. We see it every day. There's never a dull day. We're, chasing and moving, and, it's a very collaborative environment. So in this environment, I always come back to, anything is possible if you can think out of the box, ask the right questions, and have a can-do attitude. And as we look into the future and we kind of see what's coming up, we see a lot of support for new technologies, whether it be 5G, 6G, look at Cat 1M and different, broadband accesses, but actually leveraging that and taking that into different paradigms and different applications. And we're a firm believer that technology is about making life easy and providing solutions that are very simple, easy to use, not complicated, but very consistent and provide performance and value. So that's really what we're trying to really drive in our product roadmaps, in our product strategy, and working with partners. I think Matt, mentioned, we're working with an ecosystem of partners because we know we can't do everything, but we have strategic partnerships in place, and we're also building new partnerships every day.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Thank you for sharing that. Just before I come in on that, Matt, is there anything you want to add to that at all?
I would just reemphasize as Anil mentioned, it's really about, I think, in the short term, validating our strategy. We're doing a lot of proof of concepts with a variety of partners and customers, just to make sure that we're going down the right path as we roll out solutions. And then in the longer term, it's growing that ecosystem of partnerships. As Anil said, we recognize we can't do it all. I think I mentioned earlier, we feel like we have the edge solution problem solved, but
Mm,
again, we're cloud application and specific IoT devices and actuators. Those are very much coming from our partnerships. So
yeah.
it's an end to end solution brought to market through a variety of relationships.
And I think that's the kind of synopsis for where we're going in terms of converging technologies anyway, right? It's never going to be done by one business. It's a partnership. When we're talking around a metaverse, decentralization, blockchain, IoT, industry 4.0 in general, we're kind of all in a bit of a race, right? I mean, I spend far too much time, you know, looking at charts and, you know, looking at OpenSea at NFTs, and I probably should be doing something better with my life. But uh, I'm excited, and I'm a fan of all of this,
Yeah,
and it's interesting to see Technicolor's view, but also, really, if I'm being frank, a showcase in diversification, right? I mean, let's not forget, as you started the podcast, 100-year-old business headquartered in Paris, uh, synonymous with the movie industry, and we're talking here about the
yeah,
metaverse, right? IoT.
yeah. It's absolutely a diversification play for us. One of the things I'm sure Neil agrees that one of the things that's great about coming into work every day, or working from home in this case every day, but being part of the Technicolor team, is that it is very exciting. A lot of innovation and a wide variety of things to work on, because we do have a very broad, diversified business. So it's
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah. Excellent. Well, guys, look, thank you so much for coming on to the show today. It's been really exciting to have you on and to learn more about the plans for Technicolor in the future. I'm excited to see where things are going. At this point of the show, we have a question for you, actually. So we filmed a podcast yesterday with Mr. Stefan Schul. Stefan is the CEO of a company called Sensorberg that works in digitization and a lot of work around sensors for self-storage facilities, so asset tracking, etc. Um, Stefan knew that you guys are coming on representing Technicolor today, and he asked this following question, which I'd love you to answer. Stefan says, and I'll read it verbatim from my little note here. I understand that Technicolor offer a gateway capable to speak to different standards. Do you have a plan to extend this into BACnet, which is Building Automation Sector Networks, to cover it, and including items like Modboss? And do you provide transfer over MQTT currently? Who'd like to answer that?
Matt, you want to take that, and then I can add on.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah. So Tom, yeah, absolutely. So these are all protocols we're very familiar with. BACnet, Modbus, and of course MQTT is essential to communication protocol across different protocols, actually, as I'm sure you well know. So it has come up, and it is definitely on our roadmap as we've talked to various customers. Some of them have requested that we have a BACnet protocol or Modbus protocol support, for example. So absolutely. It is again on our roadmap, and I think Anil can speak to that. But it's I think those protocols get used in a wide variety of settings, and we mentioned earlier you can't do it all, right? So we're trying to focus on the verticals that are most important to us, and right now today, those protocols have not risen to the top tier of what we need to do, but we actually recognize that we're going to have those in the near future to address some of the customers that are coming our way. So I guess to answer the question in short, absolutely, those are protocols that we plan to support. It'll be market driven and opportunity driven, I believe.
So just to add to that, Matt, what Matt said, Tom, looking at, I've been in the industry for over 20 years, as I mentioned, and been with Technicolor coming up in, for less than a year. But if you look at technology and our understanding of technology, whether it be BACnet, MQTT, um, Technicolor's pedigree and DNA, if you look at the strength in engineering, and engineering from not just the management all the way down to the actual engineer, whether it be hardware, software, firmware, solution, there's some of our solution architects, a very dynamic set of individuals that often ask us about, hey, what do you think about this interface? Can we integrate this? So it's not a question of can we, it's a question of when we will do it and at what time. So we've got things in motion. The folks have really looked at this, and it's a world-class engineering team. It's a phenomenal team with a lot of very dynamic set of players that, at the pick of they're able to pick up the phone and within 24, 48 hours come up with some very unique solutions to meet our customers' demands and requirements. So with that said, as Matt mentioned, we've got the technology understanding, we've got the capabilities to integrate and roll out. It just comes down to the question of customer and timing. We want to be able to hit the sweet spot at the right time and be able to offer that in a very cost effective manner, because I always come back to cost, because you can build something, but if it's not cost effective, the marketplace won't adopt it. And if it's cost effective and it's a simple, quick, easy solution that's reliable, consistent, performs well, there's phenomenal market adoption to that. And that's what we're striving for.
Yeah, and dare I say it, the right way to do it, customer driven, market driven, cost driven, and regulatory as well, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, so completely understand it, and I think we see a lot of this certainly with protocols, MQTT, lightweight machine to machine, for instance. They become popular, and then the technology sometimes leapfrogs ahead of the demand, and that's a great position to be in. But what is the benefit to the consumer, to the user of this? Will they pay extra for it? Probably not, right? So can we do it cheaply enough? So on and so forth. So yeah, thank you guys, and thank you for answering that question.
Yeah, Tom, I think you touched on an important point. I mean, at the end of the day, the end user doesn't care what protocol you're using, right?
Yeah.
What they care about is that their problem's being solved.
Yeah, and Tom, one thing to mention is that we've truly embarked on what we call platforming strategy across the company. So we're able to reuse components, being able to build on the current platform, extend that across all of our customers and verticals. That really provides us the ability to scale. And when I say scale, rapidly scale to ship out, units in record time. So we're able to turn things around very quickly and kind of roll with what the market needs.
Yeah, yeah, fantastic. Well, guys, I'm a big fan of the business. It's been great to have your insights today. Matt
Great.
Newman, Anil Barot, thank you very much for joining us today on the IoT podcast.
Thank you, Tom.
Well, thank you
It's been
very
a
much. Our
pleasure.
pleasure.
Yeah.
And as usual, guys, to find out more about this podcast or other episodes, please go to theiotpodcast.com or on Twitter and LinkedIn under the handle The IoT Podcast. We'll be eager to know your thoughts, get involved in the conversation, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Cheers.